Rick Harrison. I'm a planner from Minneapolis. We work all over the country and all over the world. And the nice thing about the American Dream Conferences is you've got experts that really, when you look at the growth in America, 80% of the growth is suburban, and yet all of the emphasis is urban. The education's urban, design schools, they just look at urban growth, and that's going to be high density growth. Architects are going to be urban. When you look at urban areas versus suburban areas don't have any streets in it yet, so civil engineers design suburbia. And architects, well, they're going to create new urban buildings. So urban areas are more architectural and less new development growth movement. And the American Dream Conference really brings a voice to the other side. People in the suburbs don't move out in the suburbs to live in an urban area. They wouldn't move out there. They're commuting out there to have their yard and their sense of space. And they're not cold, harsh, plasticky people that are not worth anything. And when you look at most conferences, it's a social engineering or pushing new urbanism and pushing one solution. And it's a real crime because there isn't an alternative. They don't even invite an alternative opinion because they only want one opinion. And from my perspective, the American Dream Conference gives people, whether they're private developers or cities, who really don't want this force-fed into them, the confidence that no, this is wrong. I am right. I preserve my right to not be in a very dense city. I didn't move out here to be like that, and the car is not evil. And I want affordable housing. I don't want to be force-fed these regulations that are going to destroy the economics. And it gives confidence to people to say, no, that I'm not crazy. There is a group that supports what my thoughts are. And that's unfortunately so sorely missing with politicians and government that think they could force regulations and change. But it's the developers that build this land, not government. I think the conference would be recommended to all the large consulting firms. You've got consulting firms as much as 100,000 employees that basically engineer our growth. And I think the principles of those firms would be important. Local government people, whether they be administrators and mayors, because they're really the ones, the heads of the planning commission councils, heads of planning commissions and councils. Developers sometimes feel hopeless when they go in front of a city that they can't fight City Hall. And believe me, not only can you fight City Hall, and you're really not fighting City Hall, what you're doing is going a little bit outside the box. But they sometimes feel helpless because they don't know how to counter objections at city council meetings. So you learn things here, the psychology and how to overcome that. And it could make the difference between a project getting approved in a month or a project getting approved in 2 years. These little snippets of information that you could learn on how to deal with adversity or someone else's opinion, especially at a public meeting, that could delay or even destroy a project that's hundreds of millions of dollars. Yeah, a lot of things that are valuable in the American Dream Conference is you never know who you're going to talk to. Virtually everybody's involved in some way with some form of development. And when we serve, well, mostly private developments, about 98% of our work is for private developers, and about 2% is for cities. But just in this conference, I have met so many people who may not be developers, but they're tied to developers. And so the networking for this conference is just, it's great. It's well worth the trip.